Ara Shin was secretly in love with Seung Woo Han, her childhood friend. Unable to express her feelings, she wrote a novel, molded the male lead after him, and confessed her love in the pages. He never read it, but everyone else did. And her first novel was a hit. Now a famous web novelist, Ara struggles to write her second book without a muse until she meets Jo Won Cha. Jo Won is the ideal male lead. He's handsome, professional, and very different from her first male lead. There's only one issue. He's the CEO of her publishing company.
Hari made a deal. Go on one blind date for her BFF and pretend to be a super vixen to end all of her unwanted marriage setups. Unfortunately, instead of easy money, Hari's got a headache. Her date is Taemu, her company's hot new CEO, and he's got his own plans to get his family to back off by marrying whoever shows up on the date. Should Hari accept his proposal to keep playing pretend? Nothing could go wrong with lying about your real identity while dating the boss, right?
To Hee-won's dismay, the BFF she crushed on and her other BFF are now dating. Seriously bummed, Hee-won decides to go wild just one time and finds solace with a handsome stranger. A very satisfying one-night affair has now turned into more. She's pregnant. Fate brings them together again, and now the regimented Doo-jun is determined to do the right thing and marry her. But they're basically strangers, except their bodies have been very intimately acquainted. What's this mother-to-be to do? It started with a chance encounter in a secluded garden. You know, your typical boy meets girl romance. So then, why does he keep chasing her down and asking to see her photos? And hold up, he's advertising for a wife? Jung-won just wants to survive her college years, but this business executive isn't making it easy. She doesn't have time for distractions between taking care of her siblings, working part-time, and studying for classes. But there's another thing bothering her. Who is the mysterious person leaving her notes? In this modern twist on a fairy tale romance, Hyun Eun-seo was adopted by a wealthy conglomerate family at the age of 7. She was treated like a princess from childhood, but Jin-ha, the calm and composed youngest son of her adoptive parents, had always been particularly devoted to her. When Eun-seo's grandfather collapses, his grandsons find themselves competing to win over her heart, which is also the key to inheriting the family business empire. She knows Jin-ha is the best candidate to be her Prince Charming, but she struggles with a lingering attachment to her childhood friend and Jin-ha's cousin, Seong-yeon. Will the wicked members of her family succeed in ruining her life and love? Or can Eun-seo realize the difference between duty and desire? The day Yeonu's contract marriage came to an end was also the day that she witnessed her soon-to-be ex-husband, Seonjae, die right in front of her eyes. But when a twist of fate has her travel 100 days back in time before the tragic accident, she decides to do everything she can to stop the accident from happening. With a second chance to make things right, Yeonu is determined to make sure that, this time around, they get their happy ending. Yurei and Muwon used to be all business because they were in an arranged marriage until Yurei asked for a divorce. She moved out of the country and returned 3 years later for a brief work trip. She's different now and more confident in how she lives her life. But fate, and Muwon, won't let her get away that easily. Now that she has to oversee her company's deal with Muwon, will it be easy for them to separate their business and private lives and leave the past behind? Moa never thought much of her cold, stern boss, Gunhoo. At least not until that fateful incident at the company workshop. Ever since accidentally seeing him in the buff, Moa can't get him off her mind. After weeks of fantasizing, she finally asks if he'd like to spend the night with her. That's when he drops a bomb. He's a virgin, and he'll only sleep with her if she marries him. The problem is, Moa doesn't believe in marriage. With such different values, will these two make it down the aisle? Jae-hee has a terrible history with dating in the office, so she intentionally remains single to focus on her work. But things get complicated when she starts having risque dreams about her boss, Mr. Seo. and nothing she does can quell the intoxicating fantasies. While trying to balance work and these impure thoughts, Jae-hee happens upon a mysterious old woman that swears a cheap-looking bracelet will protect her from the incubus haunting her dreams. But if what she says is true, then is Mr. Seo really a lustful incubus? It would explain why Jae-hee can't control her physical urges around him. Are these symptoms a reflection of her inner desires, or is she simply under her boss's spell?
First rule of the workplace: don't date your boss. It's a rule that should be easy for workaholic lawyer Hyun Seo-cha to follow, especially since her new boss, Jung Hyuk Seo, has a reputation of being a heartless playboy who only cares about money. But despite his infuriating smirk and arrogant tone, Hyun Seo finds herself slowly being drawn to him as he wears down the armor of cold indifference she's worn over the years. But does he feel the same towards her? Or is Hyun Seo just setting herself up for a devastating heartbreak? In the busy lobby, the woman whom he believed had died years ago appeared before his eyes. Yet, once again, he lost her in the see your faces. Who is this Jin Hyeyeon you are looking for? Instead of answering, Taejun pulled out a cigarette from his cigar case, lit it up and continued searching through the hotel's visitors list. Is that your lover who died 4 years ago? Taejun finally looked up. How do you know about her? Well, according to me, this story is a bit too heavy. After reading it, I felt the male lead is a bit weird as he is weirdly obsessed with our female lead. Eventually, I started feeling bad for her.
Yesul Hong has a secret. When she kisses someone, she can see flashes of their future. It's hard to believe she's ever met the right guy when she can't even see herself in their destiny. She doesn't get much use out of her ability until one day, when she accidentally kisses her evil boss, Minhoo Cha, who's got a secret of his own. To her utter shock, she sees a vision of herself, in bed with him. As if that's not confusing enough, she shows up to work the next day to find out that her first love has been hired to work in her department. Will she be able to survive working with the man she wished had been her destiny, and the man she's destined to be with? I will count 3 from now on. If you don't stop me, there is no chance. Jo Ji-hyun and Una M, who happened to spend one night together in Canada. The next day, she saw him leaving. Una was struggling with reality, swore once more and returned to Korea with one incident leaving remorse behind. Una becomes the homeroom teacher of class 3 in high school. This class has older students who took break in studies wants to continue studying again. A successful 33-year-old man is going to join her class. But this man is not unfamiliar. Those alluring eyes, calm tone of voice, and a perfect physique. He's that man from Canada. What's more interesting is even this man remembers what happened in Canada. A thrilling romance unfolds between a dangerous man whose life is full of scars and a woman whose life is full of debts.